The art of magic is mystery, majesty, pageantry, and craft. It's also about history, marketing, networking, and more. All of these topics and others are discussed on Magic Talk with your hosts, renowned magician James Lantine and owner of the White Rabbit Magic Shop, Joshua Lantine, now on Rough Edge FM.
One of these days, I am going to get this thing produced without errors.
Oh, is that what that little feedback was at the beginning?
I forgot to mute the mics. One of these days, John is already looking for a replacement for Listen Up Santa Paula. He's looking for a new engineer.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Not bad, huh?
we got Fred in the house. Hey, Fred,
Hey guys.
how you doing?
Oh, it's good to be back, I tell you.
It's been a
I
while.
haven't. Oh, how come there's never a good way to do this?
There you go. There, you look better.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I haven't been here since you started live streaming.
Yeah, you haven't. It's
No.
been a while.
Yeah,
So, it's good to see you.
yeah. You too. You too. What's new?
A lot.
We got some new stuff.
Yeah.
Got lots of new stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, tell me all about it.
Well, we're gonna go through a couple of the things that we got, but
I came up with a new trick.
you did
I did, yeah.
what?
Well, I thought you were going to talk about it.
What new trick did you come up with?
A new trick. Well, it was. It's actually a Triumph version, but a Triumph in the hands.
Oh, you learned a new trick.
No, I came up with it.
You came up with it.
Yeah, I came up with it.
You-
I invent. Yes. How are you surprised that
So-
the son who studies more goes and learn or comes up with something new?
So I thought somebody else came up with Triumph in the hand.
I mean, a couple of people have, but I mean, I'm sure there's this one that I'm doing is different though.
So you actually came up with Triumph. What is this, like Triumph number 67?
I don't probably. Well, you have classic Triumph, and then you have straight Triumph. That's one that's I believe, a John Bannon effect. And then you have a
Doesn't Daryl have a Triumph?
Daryl has a Triumph. He does classic though,
Okay.
more often than not. And then Darwin Ortiz has a Triumph. He's got a couple of Triumphs. And then Joshua J has a Triumph. That's another straight Triumph. It's the Triumph that involves all the cards of a single suit. And then there is oh gosh, I think Jay Sankey has a Triumph.
Okay, I'm already bored with the Triumph. I get the point.
Oh my god,
I
get
the
out of
point.
here.
So, all right,
No one's
that
bored of Triumph.
I
It's
know.
the best card trick, according to most, is the best card trick that has ever been invented.
Well, clearly people aren't bored with Triumph because they keep reinventing it. But that actually brings up a topic I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
So when, if you look back to when, Fred, you and I are the same age.
35.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 38. I'm sorry. But we are close to the same age, are we not?
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
Okay. And so when we were kids, we didn't have the technology that you have today. I mean, we had some technology, but nothing to the level of what we have today. In the 80s, personal computers just started coming out. So it wasn't until maybe the mid 80s to late 80s where people started actually having them in their homes. We had video cameras, but they were VHS recorders, and you weren't doing any of this fancy editing because you couldn't, you weren't splicing and cutting video VHS tapes.
You didn't have a roll of tape and then
No.
thing that you could go and say right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
So nobody was doing any of that stuff. Today, Wow.
Excuse me. Sorry. It's been a while since I've been on the air.
I know. That like
You hold that in, huh?
even
hello,
the
Santa
scent.
Paula.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even the
yeah.
scent of
Can,
that is
can
gonna
they smell
come
the
through
root
on
beer coming
Facebook.
through that?
Yeah.
Speaking of Santa Paula.
Yeah. So yeah, and we got the nice shot, the Friday Shot Day show poster behind you. So we know what you might have been doing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so today everybody can create a movie, and a lot of people do. There's so many independent films that are out there now.
I even have a camera in my pocket.
Yes, you do. And so there are people who have made movies off of cell phones, solely using cell phones. There are people who've used, regular cameras all the way up to Reds. And so there's a whole variety of things. And obviously with that comes a level of quality and professionalism and whatnot. But in the same token, with Magic, it seems that, everybody is becoming a content creator, clearly based on what my son just said. He has joined the pack. So
I thought you'd be proud of me.
I am proud of you. But when we were growing up with Magic, it was the square and circle, it was the stratosphere, it was the professor's nightmare, it was a change bag, it was a drawer box. There were a lot of props involved in Magic. There were card tricks, but it was for the most part, a Svengali, a stripper deck, and a straight deck of playing cards. Now there's countless number of card tricks, and almost on a daily basis, new card tricks are coming out. New videos are being made. Everybody is reinventing somebody else's work for the most part.
Or a concept that has been around for a while.
Right. I heard somebody say the other day that, there's an old Magic book, Dunninger's or something like that. I forget exactly, but it was an old Magic book of old Magic stuff. And I heard from somebody who is a content creator that a lot of times people will go back to these old Magic books and they'll resurrect an old effect and modernize it. And then, it becomes something new. That's where a lot of the ideas are coming from for these newer effects, is they're just taking from some of these books that have been around for ages, and you haven't seen something for a long time, and it gets resurrected with a new face and a new concept and whatnot.
It makes some sense. I mean,
yeah. And I totally buy that. Yeah. So I guess the question that I have is, as a creator, are we creating something new, like Triumph, for example? If Triumph has been around forever and now all of a sudden there's all these new versions of Triumph, is it a new creation, or are we simply adding to something that has already existed? I mean, who do you give credit to? You didn't create Triumph, but you created Triumph.
I created a Triumph.
Right.
I believe, personal opinion, I believe it is appropriate to give credit to, as far back as the original, or at least where you got it from.
Where you got the original idea from.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if we want to go that far back, then you have to give credit to the professor, at least on my part.
I think there can be different levels of creativity. I don't think it has to be any one specific label. I think it's great if you can invent something completely original. But even something that appears to be completely original had a seed of an idea that started somewhere in that person's memory from something else that they saw, whether it was a magic trick or whether they were inspired by something else, right? But that's the idea of art. I think it cycles itself. It's constantly feeding itself and constantly growing and spitting out inspirations. I think as long as you're trying. Because if you are just someone that is just gonna buy things off the shelf and then just do those, I think that's different. That's a different art form in and of itself. That's a different type of art form, because magic is an art form.
Yes.
So I don't think the classics should be poo-pooed on. I think that's how we get started. I think eventually, I think it's good to start branching out and being creative. But when you start out, you got to start somewhere, and
Right.
the classics are there to start us out.
Well, and one of the things we talked about is, the jokes that are used in the presentations and stuff like that. When you buy a magic effect from, out of the box, so to speak, a lot of them give you the patter. This is how you should present the trick. These are the words you should use when you present the trick.
According to the original, right?
Right. According to the creator. And so, and a lot of people will perform it exactly that way. And it's like you said, I think, that's okay, because they're starting out, they're learning. But at some point, I think you get to a level in your career where you start saying, okay, for me to take myself to the next level, I need to forget about what I was told to say and how I was told to perform it. And I need to create something that kind of is unique to me or that fits me.
I agree with you, but I also think it's okay. And look, I'm one to try to create as much fresh stuff as I can. However, because that I do bizarre stuff and sideshow stuff, so a lot of the sideshow stuff is pretty much, it's very traditional, right? And then you give it your own take by creating your own pattern and own storylines and that sort of thing, but I think we have to realize as magicians that there are also people out there that are just hobbyists,
right?
And that's okay.
That's the majority of the people,
right? They're literally just going to go and buy something, practice it a few times, and then take it to the next meeting so they can have fun with it,
right? Or they'll do a birthday party here and a birthday party there, or they might do a Cub Scout, or
yeah, and then that's when we start that's where I can see how other magicians get very opinionated about it, because that's when magicians get a bad rap, because you always equate it to the bad magician that you saw at a birthday party or whatever, and they're not always going to be bad, but that's because folks may not necessarily practice as much as they should, because they're just grabbing it and they kind of want to get the instant gratification from it, and then they end up getting parties and gigs like that, and there's a whole thing about it. But I think there's room for everybody. The only thing is, all those things blend in and become part of the same genre. People don't make the distinction between a hobbyist and someone that's really working at the craft, that's either spent years at it or they're hoping to really turn it into something,
Yeah. And I don't see anything wrong with people don't see magic every day. And we had talked about this, I think, was it our last show, where for us, magic is incredibly important. It's a major part of our life. We eat, drink, sleep, we see it, blah 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 blah. But for the normal person, they don't see magic every day. They might not see magic every month. It might be years before they see a trick put in front of them.
It might be a once in a lifetime, opportunity for somebody.
So for somebody who has mastered an effect based on the way it was told to present it, but they do it well, it's not like, we see a Professor's Nightmare and we go, oh my gosh, another one, right? But to the lay audience, somebody, people in the lay audience are probably going, oh my gosh, how did you do that? That was amazing. That was one of the best tricks I ever saw, because they saw, 3 of them.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, in relation to what you were talking about, as far as what's original and what's what's considered creating, I feel like anything could be considered creating, because it's a new idea, hopefully, I mean, if you're stealing an idea, that's not creating. But if you're going and you're taking an idea and you're building on it, then I think that's still considered a creation. Though I'm one of the I'm a purist in this regard, that give credit to the one who sparked the idea, like you were talking about, Fred, because it came from somewhere. Obviously, a
Yeah.
wheel is a circular thing that you can go and push down the way, and it will roll. You can make different wheels
Right.
out of different things, out of different material. If you go back
Well-
far enough, it's a wheel.
Continental makes a tire. Michelin makes a tire.
Yeah,
They're all made out of rubber. They're all made out of the same
Firestone,
materials. but they're all-
Bridgestone. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think being inspired by something and maybe not coming up with something completely original, but still taking something and making it your own.
yeah.
I think that's the point.
That's still a creation in my
Okay.
mind.
But if you're making it for your own purposes,
No,
that's different than making it to where
Mm-hmm.
you want to then market it.
Making your
ma-
making it your own.
making it your own.
Yeah.
In other words, you're putting your own brand on it. So
Mhm.
you know, let's say you take I don't know, linking rings, and you give it your own spin. You know, I mean, Penn and Teller, I feel like that's what they're so good at. They've taken things that we're used to seeing and they give it their own Penn and Teller spin. You know, and that's but I think that's genius level. Not everybody can do that sort of, even developing something completely brand new is like genius level. But you know, taking something like to the level that Penn and Teller do, I mean, that's rare, right? Not everybody can be a Penn and Teller,
Right.
and that's why they're pros, you know.
But if you take so I kind of look at, there are a lot of effects that I purchase, and I'm going to use those for a very specific reason in my show.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it may not even be used in the way that it was intended to be, that in the way that it was created. I've made some alterations, or I've done something different with the effect. For example, during COVID, there was an effect that was created where it was a virus card, and it was a computer virus, and
Yeah.
like computer viruses, it wiped it all out, but they had a backup of the card, so it's okay, and blah blah blah.
That was
And-
Kmart Magic, and that was the virus card.
Right, it was called virus. So the way the trick was originally developed, was to be for a computer virus, and the cards all go blank because they all caught the virus, but he had a backup, and so all the cards end up on one card as the backup. And I took that and I redeveloped it into a COVID effect.
I noticed that one. It's the trick itself you didn't change, but
No.
you changed the story and the pattern to it.
Right.
So it's
So I created something from something. Now I can't go and resell that
no.
because I didn't create the physical effect. I just created the idea or the concept of the routine and took it down a different way.
But you can buy the trick here at White Rabbit Magic.
Yeah, thank you.
You can't repackage it and sell it, but
So
I sure can.
I think there's a difference between so you're creating something and you're making it your own. You're taking something that somebody did and you're developing it to make it your own, is different than taking an idea and remanufacturing it, so to speak, it for the purpose of trade.
Okay.
So like a lot of the things you did, for example, like the razor blades, the way that you perform it is different than the way a lot of magicians would perform it.
That-
But it's still the razor blades. So it's not like you're going to go package your own version of the razor blades,
Right.
right? But you could possibly come up with a whole brand new method and way of doing the razor blades, which you could then package.
Well, yeah, I think you could even package, if you wanted to, you could package the way I do it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's, there's something completely different the way I mean, I don't want to give anything away about it, but there was even something invented and we invented something in order to achieve that.
Right.
So, and we created, a gaff for it. So I think you probably could. And then
in that sense, yeah, I can agree with that.
yeah, and then you would probably in your materials you would give credit to how it first started, and I mean I think
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not sure. I mean, you guys have been in this business longer than I have.
I like doing that where like I was saying before, you give credit to where you, at least as far as you know, where the origin started.
Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, the razor blades or even a square and circle, those tricks are as old as dirt. And,
right,
it's hard to find the original.
right.
I mean, I can track down the original of Triumph, but it's still
Could you
really, really far back.
So you could take something with the same concept of swallowing razor blades and the thread, something that aren't razor blades, and do that, and that would be original. But then would it really? Because you were still inspired by the swallowing of the razor
Right.
blades,
Yeah.
right?
And that's where I think it gets sticky for a lot of magicians because or a lot of creators, because it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, you put on licorice sticks instead of razor blades, but it's still the razor blade trick. So just because you change it to licorice, does it mean that it's a whole new effect?
Well, no, but I still think it's creative.
Yeah.
Because look, when I had to sit down and actually think, okay, how can we redo this? How can we make it fresh, even though it's still the razor blades? But it took over a year to actually develop it and perfect it and build the things necessary for it. Probably a couple of years, actually. So that I think is admirable. Like, I think that has value to it.
So you're giving credit to the original creator of the razor blades from which the concept was built, and here's your own creation based on.
Here's
If I was
your
to sell
thing.
it, if I was
Yeah.
to package it,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not at that level with it. I just
I'm just
perform
as
it. Yeah,
an example.
yeah. I think so. I think if you're sitting down and making an effort to be creative, maybe not even original, but to be creative, I think that deserves credit, and I think that's worthy. I think that's good.
Okay.
And this to be able to go and be genuine enough to say, hey, this isn't my original, this concept came from somewhere, and I want to give credit to the person that this concept came from. There's nothing wrong with that.
So I have
You didn't invent the English language, yet books get made every single day.
right, and it's the way you assemble the words that make it different.
We talked about that one before
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So I have a trick that I'm working on right now called Perfect Match, and it came from another effect which is not being produced anymore. And that's
No.
the other thing, is there are people that have maybe created something that was absolutely genius, and for whatever reason they stopped.
That's happening way too often nowadays.
Yeah.
That's just pure gold is being made, and then they're like, get it now or else it's going to be gone. I'm like, why would you do that? That's
So
the game.
this effect that I'm talking about has not been produced in over 15 years. And it's an expensive effect the way they made it, but I've come up with a way of doing it to where I can make it more cost effective, and I put a little bit of a different twist on it. But it still came from somewhere, but it's not being produced. So does that then give me permission to? Now, I know in some cases it's like if it's copyrighted or if it's trademarked, doesn't matter if they're producing it or not, you can't just go reproduce it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about the insurance policy right now. We're going to reproduce the insurance policy because we like these mini policies and we can't find any distributor that has them. So it's like, oh, we'll make it.
Yeah.
We didn't create it. We didn't come up with the idea. We'll probably change the words and do something a little different on the inside. But
Again, it's a trick as old as dirt.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, and
who
at
do you
that
give credit
point,
to?
who does, it's like the Lincoln rings. If I come up with my own version of Link, I'm not going to come up with a whole new, it's still going to be, two regulars, 2 linked, 3 linked, and a key.
Yeah.
But at this point,
You okay?
nobody can really claim the Lincoln rings because it's old as dirt. So go ahead, Fred. You look like
no,
you
no,
wanted
I
to-
don't. No, I don't.
I think he's just absorbing all of our nonsense.
Badminton.
Yeah. No, I'm listening to you.
Yeah. So I think it's really kind of, it's a fine line, because there are some people who are dead set about, no, you can't put your stamp on it because so and so, that's so and so's effect. So you change the aces to kings.
So let me ask you something. Why do you think? Because I think there's a section of the Magic community that gets really up in arms about that,
Yeah.
about originality and about creativity and all that stuff. And why do you think? Because that's not the only community that's protective like that. The stand-up comedy community, same thing. I think it might even be worse. The idea of plagiarizing jokes from comics. And if you look through YouTube, it's actually more common than we realized. Back in the day, there were some famous comics that were accused of it, that were guilty of just outright stealing jokes.
Hearing it from like an amateur and going, oh my gosh, that's really good, I'm going to take that.
Yeah, or anybody, right?
Not
Walk in, and I think the average audience, because that happens with comedians, with magicians, all the anybody creative, the lay audience or the lay people don't realize how much work it is to create, because they're seeing the finished product, and so they're seeing the fun part of it.
And they probably haven't heard the joke before because it wasn't told by a Robin Williams or an Eddie Murphy. It was told by somebody who's just working local clubs.
Right. But my point is that they probably are wondering, well, why are they so up in arms about it?
Right.
And it because it doesn't seem like work, but it is, because you're conceiving something from nothing and you're giving birth to it. You're sculpting it, you're shaping it. And so it really is an insult, a slap in the face when someone just swoops in and then just takes it. It's probably pretty common in the world of magic. I mean, I haven't been in it as long as you guys have, and I only say that because the listeners don't really know my backstory. But you guys would probably know how common it really is for magicians to take from other magicians. I don't know.
So in the magic community, when a trick gets created, it's not just the effect that they're creating, they're also providing you with the performance.
Right.
And so I think in the magic community, you're encouraged to perform the trick this way with these words. And it's right down to the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you're just an amateur magician who's performing little gigs here and there, people don't see the trick. They don't realize that you're saying the routine or doing the trick exactly the same way this guy's going to do it, who does it exactly the same way that this guy does it. They don't see magic every day. So to them, it's different. And it's unique. But the trick is actually being sold with the, Professor Nightmare, hold this and do this and say, oh, I have 3 ropes of 3 equal lengths. Well, do I? No, there's a small loop, a medium loop, and a large loop. I mean, they're told that this is how you say it. So I think in the magic community, it's not uncommon for people to use, but the creator provided them with those words. It wasn't that Fred came out and created this whole routine around Professor's Nightmare with all this unique dialogue. And then I went, ooh, with my notebook and said, oh, that's really cool. Let's go. I like that. And now I'm going to perform it the way Fred does it, because Fred didn't write it up and put it in a store to say, here, this is a better way to do it. Buy this.
There's
Fred did it
Sorry, go ahead.
for himself.
There are some magicians who, some creators that actually we sell a couple of downloads that say that you cannot perform this online or in any of these platforms because you do not have the rights to perform this.
Right.
Which is, it's funny because you can't really get the rights to perform something like that because you can't copyright magic or that type of stuff
Well, you can copyright dialogue.
You can do that, but you can't copyright the trick.
No, but you can patent it.
You can patent it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a very expensive process. So
Yes.
most magic is not
No.
copywritten or protected. But what I'm saying though is that, Fred, if you come up with a routine and I go see your show and then I start doing that routine, you didn't intend for me to take that routine.
Which that does happen.
Yeah, it does
Sometimes.
happen. But you didn't intend for me to take it. But if you write it out and you sell the manuscript for $10 and say, here, perform it this way, then you've given me the right to perform it the way you're performing it because I bought it from you. And I think that's where the difference is that if I'm performing as a professional and you and I go to your show and I start performing it the same way you did, then that's stealing. But if you decide, oh, this is a really good effect, this is a really good way to do it, and I document it out and I'll say, hey, you can download this manuscript for $9.95. Well, then I'm performing it exactly the way you did, but I bought it from you. And I think that's different.
Yeah, that is different. I do get the whole stealing or the plagiarism aspect of it because you hear about it all the time.
Right.
I mean, I think that one transcends most situations of creative entertainment.
Yeah.
So you could get that in comedy, you could get that in movies, you could get that in magic, you could get that in books. There's plagiarism in books all the time.
I'm watching Fred and I'm thinking, we're going to see his head fall down here in a second.
But
You look like you've been burning the candles at both ends.
I have been. I'm getting ready for a show this weekend, so yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for calling me out.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
don't worry
appreciate
about it. They saw it on
Yeah,
Facebook.
well, maybe not. Maybe they didn't. I strategically blocked my eyes with the microphone. So thanks. Leave it to your dad.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So, all right.
We got more stuff to do, don't
Yeah,
we?
we do. Do
Yeah,
you have any final thoughts on that?
No, I think we said it. I think we said it all. I mean, this is actually a topic that you could talk about for a long time.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty interesting topic because it bleeds into other parts of art and creativity. So maybe we'll reserve it for another day.
And I don't think you're ever going to come up with a solution for it.
No,
Because there are people that are going to say that's totally okay, and there's going to
Yeah,
be people that are
it's-
going to say it's not
It's
right.
very subjective.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what listeners would have to say. It'd be great if we could have call-ins for it one day.
Right.
All right.
You know,
Hang on.
we
Somebody
can-
just came in.
We can plan that out. So, all right. The camera followed Joshua leaving. That's great. So, Fred, I'm going to do a quick little segment here. Give it to
Okay.
Josh.
Uh-huh.
So, are you familiar with DMCs?
Are you talking about the cards?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of NFCs.
No. No, DMCs are we're a special kind of marking,
Oh, okay.
beautifully marked,
Mm-hmm. They're marked cards.
very big,
Mm-hmm.
easy to see from.
I think you have shown them to me
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
You could hold it and I could read it from you over across the table.
Yeah.
And so DMCs are not being produced anymore, which was kind of sad because it was such a great marking system. But the creator,
Why is that? Why are they not?
I'm
Why are they?
not sure because the decks were created by Phil's Creative, and DMC was, I don't know if they were created for him or if DMC came up with the concept and then Phil designed it. But the two of them aren't working or collaborating together like that anymore, so the decks are not being produced.
Oh, okay.
And but Phil's Creative just came out with this new deck, ELYSIAN, Elysian,
Elysian. Okay.
duet playing cards. So, but the design is exactly like DMC. So I'm assuming Phil must have owned the design because it is exactly the same.
Let's see. Can you hold it up so I can try to Because I have my glasses on now too.
Well, let me go ahead.
Would it be better to pull a card out?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that.
Well, now you've bought that deck.
And so somebody came in.
Yes. He's still down there, but he's letting me go and finish the show.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, he clears out your front room. That was really nice of him.
I told him he can take up
Did he have a hefty bag? with him?
$100. That's about it.
There's a lot more markings on this than on the original DMCs.
Can I see one?
I believe it's still in the same position.
I
Yes,
mean,
roughly.
it
Let me
could be.
give you-
It could be my eyes.
Let me give
Why don't you put it in front of the light? Maybe if it's
Now,
oh,
if
that
you
actually
know what the DMC markings are,
helps.
then this is roughly the same.
Yeah.
Is it? Excuse me. I keep burping right into the microphone. Everything is so transparent today. People see how much of an idiot I really am. Is it three of
Yes.
three of what? Three of. It looks like a G to me, but that's nothing.
Let me see.
Oh, okay. Wait,
me-
show it again.
Let me see.
Oh, it's a
Wait,
C. Okay,
yeah.
three of clubs. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
now, this where's okay, that's
So it's pretty cool. It's got the markings are, I mean, they're kind of spread out throughout the whole deck.
yeah, really, it makes the whole marking system look really deceptive.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty. You've shown it to me before.
And I believe it tells you the position of the card that's above it, the card that's below it,
And what card you're looking at.
and what card. So there's a lot of things that you can read off of it.
And this one we have both in red and blue.
So although the DMCs are no longer in play,
Well, this version of the DMC. Yeah.
you can now pick up these and still achieve the same basic thing.
And what's this called again?
you're burping too.
I know.
We shouldn't be drinking soda on the air. I heard that.
Elysian duet.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. I think these
20.
huh?
I believe those
Yeah,
ones
they're
are
$20.
20.
But I'm pretty excited about the fact that they're still going to be around, because we were kind of hoarding some of the DMCs because I use those in all my performances.
So they're replacing the DMCs.
Well, they're not
essentially?
replacing, but
The other ones aren't around anymore.
they're not around anymore. And this is the same guy who created the design on the back of the DMCs. So apparently he owns it,
Oh,
and he's
so
now recreating.
there was a
new
falling
deck.
out. There must have been.
There's
falling out.
something, but
Yeah.
you know,
So this
Um,
is much more practical than like the old way that the cards would be marked. Because
Yes.
that was like impossible for old guys like
oh
us.
yeah, you can't read
You
it.
can't
You
read
you sit there and you gotta look down.
Yeah. Can
it's
you
pretty
hold that
obvious.
up in the light a little bit? Can you?
Yeah.
Maybe
Look
like.
at it. Here, come closer.
Yeah,
I need to get a better
Let
read.
me get my phone light. on
And you
it.
got to stare down. You got to, you're kind of looking. So
It's embarrassing enough to go to a restaurant and shine your phone light out in the menu because you can't read it. I mean,
Yeah.
does your dad do that all the time?
I
No,
don't
'cause
know.
my
He
dad
orders
doesn't-
one thing.
yeah,
Oh.
He doesn't ever finish it.
Tater tot.
I don't need a menu, because if I go to a restaurant, I know what I'm going to eat at that restaurant.
Yeah. Toast.
Yeah. So
Chicken finger.
I just went to that
French
restaurant
fries.
again today, and let me give a plug to Cocina 112. No, 1912, because one day we're gonna get some food delivered to us by them. Mexican food. Today I had a torta. Do you know what a torta is?
no.
Oh, Jim. It's just a sandwich. It's a Mexican sandwich, but Mexican style. So
Right.
it's like has more flavor to it.
Oh, he's never gonna eat
Oh man. Well, you should slip it in his mac and cheese one day. Like just shove a whole burrito in there. It's delicious.
That- That would be a very interesting enchilada.
It's like a Cracker Jack box.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
horrible idea. All right. So before we wrap things up, Josh, you have a new effect.
I do. This
Are
one's
you
really
able
cool.
to do it on so they can see it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to hold
well,
the camera on
let
your?
me,
Let me. You want me to?
All right. Hold on. He's got to go and put the thing there. And you're not gonna play the thing. Should you buy it? Does it suck? Are you getting ripped off?
Okay.
Is it more of a craft trick than a craft project than a magic trick? I will tell you, you should buy this. It does not suck.
The camera.
And you will not
follows.
get ripped. You would not get ripped off. Maybe you can pull this up, Dad. But this is the S&S by N2G.
All right.
S&S stands for Scotch and Soda, by the way.
Which is an old.
It's
trick.
an oldie but a goodie. Now this one is a little different because it is a version. It just type in.
Hey, you
I
know,
don't know if we have
while
it
you're
in
looking
yet.
for that, while you're searching that, let's give a shout out to all the ladies out there listening. We know there's tons of you out there. So if any of you have any ideas for a magic trick or want to learn magic, you can come down to the White. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, please do.
No, go ahead. Are you ready?
We don't. I don't think we have that one in quite.
No,
yet.
you do not.
Go into Murphy's. It's brand spanking new over here. So
Okay. So continue.
this one, it's the trick itself is, like I said, it's Scotch and soda, but it's a Scotch and soda that's a magnetic style.
Oh,
Like,
do you have to
Gotcha.
give it away?
well, it tells you. But the whole thing about it's because Scotch and soda use a variety of different methods of going and taking what appears to be.
Do you want me to hold the
silver
camera on
coin.
you? Or?
That's all right.
Oh, there you go.
A silver coin and a brass coin, or even a silver coin and a Chinese coin, or whatever the heck it is,
Drop it into your
and
hand.
then drop it into your hand, and it'll actually change. One of the coins will go ahead and change completely.
Cool.
And then I have the brass coin, which
Hey,
magically
hey, hey.
transposed
What'd
to
what'd
another.
what'd you do? You just reached for your crotch. What are you doing down there in your crotch area? I
Keeping
just
all
saw
my
that.
coins.
Is that where you keep all your coins?
That's where I keep my money.
You keep them in your sack of coins.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
all
right. All right, we better end real quick. Fred's taking this down a dark path.
I mean, you got to give me something.
So
That's really cool, though.
How
I
much
love
is this?
coins.
$60.
$60.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it.
This
That's pretty good.
but what you get with this is
I love coin magic.
I'll say there's 2 straight coins, 1 gimmick coin, and the means of operating the gimmick coin inside your box.
Hmm.
And
That's great.
when you go on to the instructions for this trick, that goes and tells you a whole bunch of ideas in relation to it. You can do like what I just did, a standard type of Scotch and soda type of effect, except with this one, you can have it very visual where it happens right in front of your face. Usually with the Scotch and soda, you got to put it behind your back or have the spectator put it behind their back and whatnot.
Or drop it in your crotch.
You can do that too.
Again, we're going down a dark path.
There's nothing wrong with the word crotch. So people out there who don't know, coin magic is difficult if you're doing coin magic, like straight up coin magic.
Oh yeah,
Because those are
sleight of hand and stuff.
yeah, sleight of hand. That's typically knuckle busting type stuff.
Very much so.
So this is obviously, since you already tipped it, it's magnetic. This is gaffed. So this is actually has a lot of value to it. That's why I think that price is
And it
pretty
can be
good.
inspected, which
Oh
is nice.
yeah, this is. There's some people who might get a little feel a little weird about letting it happen. I mean, you could have this inspected because there, like I said, there is 1 gimmick coin that you're working with. But you can do so much with it, like the Scotch and soda. You can do a transposition, by like a glass transposition, where 1 coin vanishes from underneath 1 glass and then appears in the other glass, and such like that. All
Wait,
sorts of stuff.
with just this, or would you need to supplement like black art with it or something?
With just this, actually, you don't need to
Oh.
do anything.
Oh, that's impressive.
So it's really cool. I like this one. It's
your
worth
dad
it.
just gave you the 0 sign.
So, way to call me out.
I know. That's why I did it. Yeah, it's a little tip of that.
Yeah.
Plugging in the remainder of the show.
There you go.
All right.
Anyways, so you can get that. Josh is going to get that entered into the computer so you can order it online.
It will be available today.
And we have a new coin effect that's going to be going up online too, that has been on back order forever, that we just got.
Do we literally only have? Do I have time to plug a show?
You have time to plug a show.
So we have a show
Alrighty,
that we're
guys, I got to
producing.
go to the customer down there.
All right,
real quick.
we'll say he's probably already left with like half of the store already.
Gotta double check.
So we are co-producing a show here at the White Rabbit called Talking to Spirits. It's a theatrical seance that'll be starring Wildcat Jackson. They can get their tickets online at thomagic.org or at littlebigstageproductions.com. And we recommend that you get tickets ahead of time because tickets are extremely limited.
Yeah, there's only 11 seats at each show.
Because we're doing a traditional seance table. So this is like an old Victorian seance for entertainment purposes only. But come on out. Santa Paula has a rich paranormal history. So it'll be a lot of fun in that way. And that's March 9th at 6 and 9 p.m.
6 and 9, yeah.
2 shows.
So check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
So-
too. Can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah. Anyways, that is our show. We'll have more in that discussion about creativity and all that, because I think there's a lot that can be said, and we'll see if we can get feedback from other people.
Sounds good.
So thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Abracadabra, hocus pocus, presto. Pick a card, any card. Some words are magic. They sparkle with the promise of something wonderful. But they're still just words until you add that something wonderful to the mix. And that's what you'll find at the White Rabbit Magic Shop in Santa Paula. Their inventory includes world-class tricks and illusions that are not only for sale, but that they will teach you to master. In addition, White Rabbit Magic Shop is world-renowned for its amazing collection of bicycle playing cards, with nearly 500 decks in stock. So, if you're serious about magic, then say it with us. At the White Rabbit Magic Shop, we believe in magic. The White Rabbit Magic Shop, located at 15500 Telegraph Road, Suite B15 in Santa Paula. For more information, please call 805-850-3051 or check us out online at wr-magic.com.